The way realtors work for buyers in the US is about to drastically change. If you're planning to buy a home anytime after mid-August 2024, this is what you need to know. Okay, first let's back up just a little and review how the traditional real estate model in the US has been working for decades. When a seller lists his or her home for sale with a brokerage, they are charged a fee for that service, usually a percentage of the final sales price. That percentage is negotiable and determined between the seller and the listing agent in the brokerage listing agreement. It is not required that the seller offer payment to the buyer broker, but usually they do, and the seller agrees to have that listing brokerage pay the fee out to the brokerage that brings the buyer, your buyer's agent. That is how your agent gets paid. Most of the time, the buyer, you, haven't had to directly pay your agent for the time and effort they've put into helping you find a home, look at homes, and become educated about the market. The amount of compensation offered is listed on the MLS so everybody knows up front what to expect. Because of the National Association of Realtors Sitzer-Burnett settlement, offers of compensation to the buyer's brokerage will be removed from the MLS in August, and you, the buyer, will be required to sign a buyer representation agreement with a realtor outlining the cost of working with him or her before that real estate agent is able to take you into any homes for any showings. By signing that buyer representation agreement up front, you and your agent are agreeing upon some things like a general outline of what type of property you're looking for, the general geographic area in which you'll be looking, and how long you two will be working together, and what your agent's duties in the transaction are, and what the agent's fees are, be it a flat rate or a percentage of the final sales price of whatever you buy. It is very important for you to understand that if the property you decide to purchase does not offer buyer broker compensation, it will be your responsibility to pay your agent at closing. And as it stands right now with most lending services, you cannot just wrap those agent fees up into your mortgage. The only way you'll be able to look inside properties without signing a buyer representation agreement would be to go to an open house or call the listing agent and set up a showing. The days of seeing a house pop up on the market that you're curious about and just calling up an agent for a real quick showing are over. Because money doesn't grow on trees for most people, it's going to be highly pertinent information for most buyers to know if the seller is offering any compensation to the buyer's agent. Remember, soon that information will no longer be available on the MLS, so your agent will need to contact the listing agent prior to each and every showing to see if there is compensation offered or not. I suspect that we are going to hear quite frequently something like, the seller is open to negotiating it, which is kind of the open-ended mush-mouth willy-nilliness that can drive people crazy. Basically, what the seller is saying to you, the buyer, is, write me an offer, we'll see what it looks like, and we'll go from there. The translation of all of that is that you may or may not have to pay some or all of your agent's fees. You may be wondering, why am I all worked up about this? Having the amount of compensation offered up in the air is a problem for buyers who are shopping near or at the top of their budget, because if they have to set money aside to pay their agent for their services, that impacts the price range of the homes that they can realistically look at. Most first-time buyers and lower-income buyers I know do not have the cash reserves set aside to pay an agent. I would argue that knowing the amount of compensation offered is equally as important to most buyers as knowing the number of bedrooms, the total square footage, heck, even the location of a property. But the government is playing puppet master and somehow thinks that hiding this information is going to protect buyers from evil real estate agents who might try to guide buyers away from properties that don't offer the amount of compensation that that agent wants. This notion is ridiculous. Honestly, we live in an era of information overload. The public has access to all the information about anything they want to know. Are there a couple of bad players out there? Sure, there's bad players in any industry, but far and wide, the vast majority of agents I know work hard for their clients and want nothing more than to help people get the house they want. Perhaps one of the bullet points on the true agenda of the DOJ is to force buyers to pay for their own agent representation under some sort of misguided notion that doing so will make home prices come down. What it seems more likely to do is just make achieving the goal of home ownership more unattainable for many people. Now, I know what you're thinking. If a buyer says, "Oh, I'll just go to the listing agent and try to buy through them," it's important to realize that they will then be in dual agency, which comes with its own set of potential risks. I made a video where I deep dive into dual agency, and you can watch it up here if you're interested. Also, keep in mind that nobody works for free, and just because you go to the listing agent to make an offer doesn't mean that somehow you've gamed the system. You'll be required to sign an agency representation with the listing agent as your buyer's agent, and you guessed it, they will outline what their fees are for that service that they're going to provide to you in the transaction. In full transparency, nobody really knows how all of this is going to shake out yet. The sand is still shifting under our feet. There will probably be a period of time where things feel chaotic and messy because of the governmental monkey wrench that has been thrown into a system that currently operates pretty smoothly. In fact, the latest news is that the DOJ is now backpedaling on part of the agreement, and they may require the information about the offer of cooperating compensation to be even further hidden. Keeping it off the MLS may not be enough. The DOJ is making noise like now they don't even want it to be advertised anywhere. Not on a listing brokerage website, not on a non-MLS affiliated third-party app. Nowhere, which is mind-blowing. Name one other profession where it is potentially impossible to know what you'll be paid for doing your work. Yes, I know the fee is outlined in the buyer's representation agreement, but if the buyer is unable to pay you out of pocket and you must find that buyer a property that offers buyer brokerage compensation, how is that supposed to work? Leave it to the government to take things operating in a free and open market and really screw them up. Hey, I'm curious, my viewers who may be potential buyers, what do you think of these changes? Were you aware of the fact that you'll have to sign a buyer's representation agreement, negotiating and agreeing to that agent's fee for service before that agent can show you a property? How will the new MLS policy of not showing buyer agent compensation impact how you search for homes? For real, would you be able to pay your agent if that becomes part of your overall closing cost expenses and is no longer paid by the seller? Let me know down in the comments. If you need a straight shooting agent here in the Iowa City area to help you either buy or sell residential real estate, I would love to chat. You can find all of my contact information down below in the description box of this video. Hey, it's been fun, and I'll catch you later.